On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, how will the Oklahoma City Thunder respond to their first loss?
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Styles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Styles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into how the Thunder can respond to their first loss. We're also going to be answering your mailbag questions, and that'll include who benefits the most from Isaiah Hartenstein's return. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. It's a fun day. It's Friday, the end of the week, and the start of something new. It feels so right to be here with you talking Thunder basketball as the Thunder open up a 6-game homestand. So it'll be really fun to see this team get to play at home, get to play, really their first homestand of the season. Their longest stretch to this point was, 2? And so you're finally going to get to see this team get to enjoy the fruits of their labor at home. And I think at home, it is a big deal. Number one, the lack of travel is huge. Being comfortable in your own arena, in your own, house, in your own practice facility, all that stuff is a plus. And historically throughout basketball, most importantly for the Thunder, you see role players play better and shoot better every year at home. And so when you have these long home stretches, you really want to capitalize. You really want to take advantage of that. And I think that this is a situation where even early in the season, you can kind of capitalize on a buzzing fan base, which is just, holding such expectation for the Thunder this season, such excitement about the 7-1 start, and kind of play it against the football around here not being very good. So you might get some people to come over and, be rallied around this team earlier than usual, checking in on this team earlier than usual. And they should. This team has been electric to start the season. I know that they're coming off their first loss of the year, but it's been a really fun team to watch and cover for the first 8 games of the season. It continues tonight against Houston, which the question is asked, how will the Thunder respond to their first loss? Wednesday was a game you could have won, frankly, but you didn't. It was a 2-point game. So there's not like a need to panic or overcorrect or fix things from a 2-point loss. The thing I think that has to return to normalcy from all of the different areas that you could point to. You could point to Shai's turnovers. You could point to Chet's quiet night offensively. You could point to a litany of things that have to get better. The biggest, in my opinion, is the defense. I mean, the defense is your calling card. The defense is what butters your bread. And to give up 124 points in regulation for a team that was like their second time this season giving up over 100 points and only went over 100 points, then went 124. Like, you have to batten down the hatches a little bit defensively in this game against Houston and beyond. And with Houston, they have an electric scorer in Jalen Green. They have Şengün. They have some nice pieces, but Houston has a lot of self-creators. They don't have a lot of table setters. And I just think that that's a recipe for getting out and causing havoc and causing turnovers. Because if you really engage and you really lock in and you do the things that you expect the Thunder to do, which the Thunder have done in 7 of 8 games, if you do all those things, then you really expect Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks to make quick, efficient decisions? I personally don't when it comes to moving the ball around and getting it to the next man and swinging the basketball around the perimeter. I think that that's a recipe for the Thunder to go and create a billion steals, actually. I also just think that the Thunder are a better team than Houston. But when you look at this response, it's not just a response to last game, it's a response to the last couple of seasons. Like the Thunder have been the better team than Houston, typically. And yet you have these games where Houston just thoroughly outplays Oklahoma City. And for whatever reason, the shots don't fall. They don't play their brand of basketball against this team specifically. So how can you respond to that, which has been plaguing the Thunder for a couple of seasons? And responding to Denver, of course. And then you look at this Rockets team, and right now Steven Adams is questionable. But as you know, Hartenstein's out, Kenrich is out, Jay Will's out. If that questionable gets upgraded to active, then Houston has the better front court just based on sheer volume. Like Chet is way better than Şengün. Chet is like a whole tier above Şengün. Adams, is worse than Chet, obviously, but Adams is way better than whoever you throw out there as the backup five, which is going to be Ousmane Dieng. So no matter how Ime Udoka tries to slice this, whether you go double big, I would feel terrible for your spacing if you went Adams Şengün, but that would win you every single rebound, you would imagine. And then if you go staggered bigs, where you play Şengün against Chet and Adams against, Ousmane Dieng, that's a huge win as well. It's like Houston's going to win down low. That's why I think it's going to be so critical for Oklahoma City to absolutely rip the cords from three. Like you have to have your role players shooting the ball well. You have to have that 3-point shot going. Coming up, we'll talk about your mailbag questions. But first, I want to tell you right now about our good friends over at Prize Picks. Go check out Prize Picks today because it's fun. You pick 2 to 6 players and you just project. Will they have more or less than their Prize Pick projections? It's that simple. It's that easy. You can win 100 times your money right now on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. So go there right now and check it out. It's available in Oklahoma. Sign up today. Get a $50 instantly. $50 instantly when you pay $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed for you whenever you place that $5 wager at Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discount selects players' projections up to 25% and provides even more value with your lineups. So if you think Steph Curry will get more than 4 3-pointers next week, or Anthony Edwards will have more than 27 points, you can go to Prize Picks and team up with your friends to make sure all your hot takes create you real money this basketball season. Go check it out today at prizepicks.com. Prizepicks.com. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. Also want to tell you right now about our good friends over at FanDuel. Go check out FanDuel today because you're ready. You're ready for another weekend of football. You can tackle the action in the NFL. You can tackle it in college. And another weekend of NBA basketball starting tonight with Thunder Rockets. It's America's #1 sports book, FanDuel. And right now, new customers can place a $5 bet. And if you win, you get $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, on the Thunder, on the NBA, all in one place. So go there right now. You can do live betting, player prop spreads, over-unders. And when you do, you place your first $5 bet. If you win it, you can go to FanDuel.com and get $150 in bonus bets for you. Tonight, the Thunder hosting the Rockets. The FanDuel line has the Thunder favored by 8.5 points over there at FanDuel. Go check them out today. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Folks, it's going to be a fun game. Either way that you slice it, it's going to be fun. We'll be back here recapping it all for you on Locked On Thunder. But I am curious to see how this one goes. I'm also curious from a Rockets perspective of like Jalen Green having a fantastic start to the season. This in conjunction with his March and his April from last year, you wonder if he's really figured things out. There is no better test in the NBA for a scoring guard than a team that can throw Cason Wallace, a team that can throw Lou Dort, a team that can throw Alex Caruso. There's no better test for a scoring guard than this Thunder team. Because no matter how you mix and match your rotations, no matter how you mirror your minutes, you are going to see Jalen Green go up against an all-world point of attack defender. And how he navigates that, how he negotiates that, will be the difference in the Rockets' success tonight. But also, I think will reveal a lot of if he is able to carve up this Thunder team. Then yeah, I think that you have to be buying what he's selling, and have to be buying his development, have to be buying kind of his maturity. I think it'd be a huge game for him. Not that he needs any vindication from any of us, but I just think that from the outsider's perspective, you do it against this team, it's really different. It really is. So it's going to be a fun game with plenty of storylines. The first question of our Mailbag podcast comes from Zach. How badly would the Thunder have beaten Denver if Isaiah Hartenstein were healthy? For the Denver point, I'll say this. If Denver had Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, it would have been different as well. Frankly, to the Jamal Murray point, would have been different because Russ is not starting, and then Russ does not have the room to go off for the game that he had. I'm not sure how much that the Murray upgrade would have helped them in that specific game. And then for Gordon, it just makes them bigger. It gives them more size, which iHeart it's the perfect matchup for iHeart. And it's kind of the matchup why you bring iHeart over now that the Timberwolves have kind of broken up the Cat Rudy Gobert thing. Kind of taking that away, I think that the biggest beneficiary of iHeart's return, which we'll see when it is. It'll be 5 to 6 weeks from the start of the season. We'll see when he gets back on the floor. But whenever he does, I actually think the biggest beneficiary of that is Jalen Williams. I wrote about this for Thunder on SI. You can go read it over there. But simply put, I think that the natural inkling is to just throw this signing on Chet of like, well, they don't want Chet playing center. Well, actually, they do. Well, they think that they need more size and they need to run double big lineups. I mean, they're really good with just the one center, and it allows them to be versatile on the perimeter. It allows them to shut down and suffocate teams and get out and run. I'm not sure how much double big lineups you're going to see. Now, will it be more than the 2% that you played it a year ago? Sure, I can concede that. I don't think that that'll be your new identity, is two bigs. What this gives you is the depth to have 48 minutes of rim protection, which you do not have right now. And I look at J-Dub. It's clear yet again that the Thunder are going to rightfully give him the keys to run the non-Shai minutes. And at times right now this year, it can look good. And at times it can look messy. It can look stagnant. iHeart, I think, fixes all of that. Look no further than what he did for Jalen Brunson. And it's not as though he made Jalen Brunson, just like he will not make J-Dub. Jalen Brunson was a phenomenal player for Dallas. He was a great player in New York, even without Hartenstein on the court. But he's still a great player for New York right now without him on the team. And for J-Dub, he was fantastic a year ago, taking over second and fourth quarters to help the Thunder win 57 games. So it's not as though that iHeart will make J-Dub. It's not about being that difference maker of like who solidifies their careers. It's about quality of life. The shot quality that Hartenstein will deliver to J-Dub is what's going to fix this offense. It's his high post playmaking as a 7-foot table setter. It's his screen setting, which nobody on the Thunder has ever played with a screen setter the caliber of Isaiah Hartenstein. It's the dribble handoffs you can do and fake DHOs that you can do. Finding him as a roller because of his floater, because of his rim finishing ability. Like, he just unlocks everything For right now, lineups that look disconjointed, lineups that you wonder why they're playing just J-Dub, lineups where you wonder what they're thinking, I think you will quickly see the bigger picture once you have the picture put together. Right now, you have a corner piece, you have a middle piece, you have the lower third piece. The puzzle is far from put together right now because you're missing such important pieces. You're missing iHeart, you're missing J Will, you're missing Kenrich. Even one of those guys could make some of this stuff look more functional, but especially iHeart. So with what he can do as a screener and a passer, you will see not only last year Jalen Williams return in the scoring category, you will see it be better than it's ever been before. Better than it's ever been before for J-Dub scoring the basketball. I fully believe that when iHeart returns. We'll answer some more of your questions. C. Mitch said Shai had a pretty off night, but it's not entirely on him. Poor fouls and missed layups didn't help. Loved J-Dub finding his stroke. This is about the game against Denver. We played hard and learned from the game. Hartenstein and J will definitely miss this game. Yeah, the Thunder absolutely missed their size against Denver. Shai had an off night with 8 turnovers. He was really good everywhere else. I did not love his defense. I did not love his 8 turnovers. Those are two very uncharacteristic things. I think that we can kind of conflate Shai's defense with the steals. Shai, respectfully, is still the 4th or 5th best defender in every single lineup, but it's been worlds better than it started, and it's been worlds better than it was on Wednesday. Wednesday, he was getting beat off the dribble routinely by Russ, and he was just not as impactful on that end of the floor as he typically is. I think that'll continue. That'll look more like the 7 games versus the 1 for Shai throughout this season. So yeah, it was an off night from him. Everyone has off nights. We have off podcasts. You have off comments. Everyone has off nights. James Eaton says not worried about the loss at all. Exactly why the Thunder brought in Hartenstein. With that said, why do you think Shai looks so out of rhythm this year? He's so passive. It feels like he gets caught in between and has to turn it up. I just think that this is a new season syndrome of like, go, and I would even say search your own tweet history. How many times have you been saying this about Shai at the start of the season, and specifically at the start of games? He starts every game this way. He's always been a guy who spends the first part of the game getting other guys involved, feeling out the game, letting the game flow, letting the game come to him. And I think that we kind of forget that in the 3 months off, because in those 3 months off, you're only looking at highlights. You're only looking at his in-game averages of 30 points per game on very good efficiency. And you're just assuming that, like, hey, if you score 30 points a game for 48 minutes, you're scoring. It's always been different for Shai. It's always been more, I don't want to say timid. That's not the right word, but it's always been more go with the flow for Shai and trying to get into a rhythm. So I don't think he's doing anything just awful. I think that he still needs to improve as a passer, because you're seeing how easy it is to take him away as a passer in the pick and roll against Denver with the 8 turnovers. But the 3-point shot is somewhat hurting his numbers. He's clearly not making them. And you would imagine if you took out those 3-point shots, you wouldn't take out the field goal attempts. I say that as in, it's not as though he just wouldn't take the threes and he'd be sitting at the same number of free throw attempts. If he's not taking those threes, he's taking more mid-range and rim opportunities, and he's going to make those. So that kind of hurts his numbers, to where now when you look at his numbers and they look different, and what you're remembering is an 8 turnover game, and you're remembering games where he doesn't start as aggressively, it all compounds into you thinking the whole season's afoot, when it's pretty simple. It's just the 3-point shot that you're trying to elevate, which we've discussed on this show. You can go back and listen to previous shows. We're not going to rehash all of it, but elevating your 3-point volume, while it's not producing right now in the percentages, it does wonders for your game. Even against Denver. Against Denver, he got an and one at the elbow simply because he's been taking more threes this year. And so now the scouting report says you've got to close hard to Shai. He's going to take those shots. The Denver defender rushes out to Shai, slips, falls, gets up, and one Shai. Like, that stuff matters, and that stuff is part of the cumulus of why you're doing all this stuff, part of the calculus of why you're doing all this stuff. So I just think that that's kind of the way it is. Coming up, we'll close the show with a little bit more of your mailbag questions, get you set for Houston. But first, I want to say right now about our good friends over at Skims. Go check out Skims today. Listen, we've all been there. We've all bought some underwear that maybe didn't quite fit your needs for comfortability. But I love Skims because Skims is not only comfortable, but I'll tell you how exactly it's comfortable. Number one, the best fabric that I've ever worn. It is just spectacular. Number two, breathable and flexible. Really important. Really important. You know how important the breathability and flexibility is. Breathability, especially in Oklahoma. So check out Skims underwear. They are fantastic and they have exactly what you need. So no matter what kind of style you're into, maybe you're into the 5-inch boxer briefs. Maybe you're into the traditional cotton briefs. Maybe you're into the stretchable briefs. They have it all for you. No matter what you're into, no matter what your style, they have it for you with the 5-inch seams, 3-inch seams, if that's what you're into. They have everything to fit your brand, fit your style over there at Skims, and the comfortability and the material is unlike anything I've ever experienced before with any other brand. So go check it out today at Skims, Skimsmen at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. And when you place your order, you select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. That way they know we sent you. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever, available at skims.com. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Mizzou for Life says a little concerned about Caruso's shot. We spent the whole third segment on the last show talking about Caruso. So you can go listen to that for more extended talk. But ultimately, I just think that it's difficult for veterans to come into this style where you're not ingrained in it, you're not brought up in it, you're not assimilated to it. And it's such a unique style than what other teams play, where there is a pecking order of talent. There's not necessarily a pecking order of aggression, where every player is driving and kicking. Every player is deciding between shooting and passing. Every player is hunting for the best shot for anyone on the court. And all that goes to show for a marginal player, a veteran marginal offensive player, like you saw with Gordon Hayward a year ago to a certain extent. When is it my turn to actually shoot? When should I keep hunting for that next shot? Is this the time where I shoot and you're going to say I should have hunted? Is this the time where I hunt and you say I should have shot? Like, I just think that this stuff takes time. It takes a longer runway. And that in moments like this, you kind of have to rely on what we know, right? We know that historically, Caruso has been a good offensive player. Like, he's been able to pass the ball, rebound the ball, and shoot the ball. He shot 40% from three last year. We know that through 8 games, while a pedestrian at best box score, and really below that offensively, he is taking good shots. Like, the shot quality is there. So those are the things we know. Well, then you can only assume that things are going to come around for him offensively as you get more comfortable. The big difference is for him versus, Hayward, who never kind of found it. And Hayward, as we saw at the end, was kind of a protest of sorts, if you will, of why he wasn't shooting. You have an entire season to figure this out. You had training camp to help you get to a starting point. You had preseason. Now you got 82 games. You have 73 games left for this team. So you have plenty of time to figure it out. And that's why I'm not at the concern level for Caruso. Obviously, there's a ton of overreaction. There's a ton of concern. I just don't think that a 2-point loss in Denver really warrants any meltdowns. The bad news is, if you're somebody who doesn't like meltdowns, the bad news is the Thunder and Rockets social media war wages on. And historically, the last couple of seasons, the Thunder have not played well against Houston. So if you go on your first 2-game losing streak of the year tonight against Houston, and Houston is talking a lot on social media, you might just want to check out of Twitter after this game. But I do think the Thunder have a really good shot to win this game. Obviously, Vegas does as well. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be here to recap it all for you after the contest is over. And until then, be good and be good to one another.